Hey everybody, welcome back. Bulldog Hero 27 plays Stanley Parable 2. No longer Ultra Deluxe. The game decided to change its name. Without further ado, let's just get back to it. The end is never the end. Is never the end. Is never the end. Alright, come on, load up. There we go.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
I think we left it off last time, right on this.
Stanley worked for a company in a big
balloons.
building where he was employee number 427. Employee
Little
number
loud for me.
427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Very loud.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427...
Yeah, we already know the story. Oh no, my fifth thing is gone for the heaven ending. Anyways, let's see what's new other than balloons.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
There's a bucket! We're digging the bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
It makes it that much better. Oh, no new content. Because this is the new content.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
That means there's bucket endings and endings without buckets. So there's bucket endings left and right. Then there's no bucket endings left and right. I just started with bucket. Alright, let's start as if we're starting this for the first time and listen to the narrator. So, oh, he's quiet.
Still no one was here.
There we go.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be,
Can you?
given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends?
How?
That your relationship is purely
terrible.
superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which
I
happened to
love my
lay in
bucket.
your path in an even
It's like this
partially
remote.
enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Oh, this is my bucket. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Okay, I've got... Coming to a staircase,
Oh, oops.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
Aw.
office.
He's gonna tell me something. Totally missed it. So there's like a variety of endings now since I have this bucket. That's ridiculous. Collectible!
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Love it. Something behind here? No, not yet.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
That's right.
Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
I heard another fun one is... Oh no, I guess not. 285. There we go.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Absolutely. Collectible.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
I like
Stanley
mini stands.
figs. What about Stanlerines?
Nah,
Yes,
I like that.
I think I like that.
No.
Another Stanlerine
I don't
under
like
your
that.
belt.
Like mini stands. Going down.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
That's right.
Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
If it wasn't for this button.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Oh, I fell! I didn't mean to do
Just as
that.
Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It
Oh.
really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis.
I did not mean
But
to
it
get
wasn't
this
until the
ending.
rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning.
Uh-oh.
It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path.
I didn't mean to trip.
It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket. which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
I knew there was a bottom floor ending. I didn't mean to get it. I wonder... So that means there's two endings of the bottom floor ending. One
All
with
of
the
his
bucket, one without
co-workers
the
were
bucket.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Bucket.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
This time
Stanley
I'm not
clutched
tripping.
the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
There will be a reward for finding them all. Trust the instinct. Construct a bridge, fill out collection of shiny float. We need more planks. Construct new structurally sound bridge. Retrieve Chris's remains. Ooh, bye Chris. Sorry Chris. Construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. Alright. Inside secret exhibit. Got it. Nearby a fireplace. I didn't see that. A private but smelly place for an important person. Are these the 6 locations? A large room, lots of boxes. Supply storage room. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Somewhere we're both red and blue. Ooh! Wait, do I have 3? I don't remember if I have 3. Are these the ones I already have? This one and this one? And that one? Interesting. Well, I know we're 2 of them are, maybe not the 3rd one. 2 and 4, I should say. Huh. Awesome. Secrets? Oh, I got one in the restroom. Is that nearby the fireplace? Oh, private smelly place for an important person. That's the restroom. What was the fireplace one? I don't remember that. Oh. And it just happened too. Broom closet ending.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it?
Get out.
The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now.
Oh, is he gonna do the whole
It's a
talk?
bucket. It belongs
we're
in
outta
a
here.
broom. Coming to a staircase,
Nah,
Stanley
I was
and the
hoping to see
bucket walked
something new.
upstairs to the boss's office.
Alrighty.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again
Oh, near the
stunned
fireplace
to
behind
discover
it
not
there,
an
that's
indication
right.
of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yes, it did.
Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
This was the fireplace one that was back there. Alright. The figurines are the new computer input ones. That's what I'm assuming. You know how you touch the 5 locations as you play or whatever and get the heaven ending? I'm guessing the figurines is a replacement of that. Alright, this time I'm not going to fall off.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Beep boop.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Why does this, like...
What horrible secret did this place
Almost fell
hold?
again.
Stanley and the bucket
Sorry.
both wondered to themselves.
And yoink.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley
Let's see
nearly
who's
dropped
fired.
the bucket in
Who's fired
shock.
again.
Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this,
bucket.
and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Stanley or the
No!
bucket?
He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
What about you?
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Boom, baby! Get that true ending with the bucket. Is there an ending with the bucket?
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and
It's not working.
Wait, what was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No!
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part
Darkness
with the
consumes
bucket.
me.
No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket.
That's true.
To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
That was an ending. Okay. And we're back, everybody. Alright, let's do it again. This time
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Bucket.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Left.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
This time we're gonna hit the on button to see how different it is. Yes, we'll find them. Don't worry about it. I'll close the door for you. No broom. We're going up.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Boss's office. We're here again. Yay, a boss's office.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Hurry up.
Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
There we go.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Let's see this new ending. Come on, everyone's waiting to see what happens if you hit on with the bucket. So I'm gonna do bucket left. What was another one? Oh yeah, I gotta like Duke out the boss's door, go downstairs with the bucket. Oh, there's so many.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the
Gotta
large door
escape
that
with the
read
bucket.
Mind Control Facility.
I think I'm gonna call this episode Adventures in
The
the
lights
Bucket.
rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
So far we've gotten 2 endings today? Yeah.
The
Jumping
monitors
down.
jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
I gotta jump.
Everyone in the
without
office was
bucket,
being
too.
videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Yes, we know. Moving on.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never!
Never!
He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
That's right. This time we're turning on the machine.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating,
we
working,
are.
all of it monitored and commanded from this
made it.
very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery...
Yuck.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this?
How dare you, bucket.
Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly birds.
Silly birds.
The control buttons became active again.
Oh, rotation of
Stanley
birds.
flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands,
What a
the one
bucket.
who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this
There's a
one
lot
was
of
surely
birds.
the best.
There we go, we're back.
And Stanley was happy.
I like the duck. There it is. There's my duck. Aw, duck ending. That's what I'm calling that one. Alright, we've gotten 3 endings. I'm going to kind of work it backwards this time, so I'm going to go just as far again with
All
the
of his
bucket.
co-workers were gone.
But escape
What could
this
it
time.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Bucket.
Perhaps he had simply missed him. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Definitely home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yes, we'll find them. Open the door. Then
Coming
after
to
I
a
escape,
staircase,
then I'm gonna go
Stanley and the
downstairs.
bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
What was I going to do here? Oh yeah, escape. Almost forgot I was going to...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
This might be an
Yes,
annoying episode.
this
since
is
we're doing
certainly the
same
most
thing
logical
over and over
explanation.
Again. We're seeing different stuff. It's worth it. Guess it would have been better if I built up to that point, but oh well. Because now we're just getting less and less. But this should be the last time I come here.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read
no.
Mind Control
there we go.
Facility.
No.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Yep.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every
That's a long
opportunity to
hallway.
turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Here we go. Whoop! Is this the infinity hole? Because everything's supposed to be in here, right? I mean, I know we did that before, but it'd be cool if that's where you put the infinity hole.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Goodbye, cruel world!
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
That's right, this was the museum ending. The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You're standing at the... Oh, geez, that's too big of a word for me. Precipice or whatever of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within. A carnivorous? That's not carnivorous. Oh, I'm definitely embarrassing myself here. Cavernous void. Excuse me. But through the use of this the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substinated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learned here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? Strong words from a bucket.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him?
25
Can you
buckets.
see that the bucket is
That's
far
more than
more
25
noble than
buckets.
Stanley will
There's
ever
like
be in
25
his
buckets in this
short
corner.
life?
What was here? Oh, I thought I saw something here. There's the bucket. It's gone. A bucket with two handles. What's back there? I saw a chair on this side. Huh, just a chair. Like the original bucket, Inferno bucket, a replica of the Inferno bucket, which is in the medieval area and was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet, in spite of all of it, the simple fact remains: no one can control a bucket. So this is because I got the bucket killed. All my worry goes into the bucket. Love it. The stress bucket. Ooh. bucket. Damn, they gave this woman a trunk. Look at that. Oh, look at the booty on this guy. And this one.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. Oh, it's the bucket we saw earlier. Do I jump off and grab it? Oh. Oh, I grabbed it.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Oh, Stanley died. Alright, that's another good ending. I forgot about the museum one. Let's see. Now working it back. Now we're going to Okie Doke, the boss room with the bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone.
What's
What
terrible
could it
is
mean?
we still got to do bucket.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room,
and
but
do all those
Stanley
things.
picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yes, yes, buckets. I'm sorry, not buckets. All I got is bucket on my mind now. Figures. Oh, we still got to go downstairs too?
Coming to a staircase,
Oh,
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
boss's office. And then we go through, and then we don't. And then we go through, and then we don't.
Stepping in.
There we go, we turned them off. And now we go all the way back to the beginning. Hopefully this is a different ending. Balloons. Huh, thought I saw something. I can't put the bucket back. Ah, there we go. The ending. This is the escape pod ending, right? You are now leaving. So I read why the game just like suddenly ends when you get to the escape pod. Apparently there was a sign that I missed that basically said that I can't leave alone. That I need the narrator with me to leave. Which makes it impossible because the narrator turns off when you leave the boss room. So, we'll see how different it is, if anything, with the bucket. Oh my god, is my bucket making that sound every step? 58, 760 is where the escape pod is. One more. I think it might be there that says it, but I'm not reading it. Just take my word for it. Alright. Let's see if it's anything different. If not, this was a giant waste of time. It's different. We're going in. We're sending the bucket. Shh. It's okay. We knew this would happen. Oh, don't cry. Oh, it's okay, my bucket. It'll be okay. Go live for the both of us. Oh. I go. You stay. No following. Oh, that was actually a sad ending. What? How do I get feelings for a bucket? That's a good one. That was a much better escape ending. Alright, here we go. Bucket ending.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
The bucket's gone. I ruined the bucket. I didn't get to do all my bucket endings, left or right. What do I do now? I got rid of the bucket. I didn't think it would get rid of it. Did I just ruin my chances with the bucket?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I don't feel safe without the bucket now. I wanted to continue my adventures with the bucket. I wanted to go downstairs and do everything with the bucket. Now I can't. That's tough. I don't. All right. Now that we're in this, I guess, Stanley Parable
This was
2.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
We're going to go see if I can get that
Yes, truly a room worth admiring.
Not really.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Let's see if we can hit the vent now. Maybe there's a jump circle or something.
Stanley was so bad at following directions,
ram.
it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ooh. Hey, there's a figure! Where lots of boxes are. There's the vent. And this is going to go get the figure. It's like I've forgotten about the bucket. No, I have not forgotten
Okay,
the
I'm
bucket.
going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think,
Figlies?
Stanley?
Not
What
Figlies.
name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
I like the mini stands. I actually really like those. Alright, and we're making our way to the vent for this ending. Oh. Alright. If only I had my bucket with me.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path.
Quiet, you.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Well, you got rid of my bucket. I don't even know how to feel without my bucket. Alright, that was the vent ending. Alright, I think I'm going to end the video here, everybody. I can't believe I haven't did an ending without the bucket. I'm going to go see maybe how I can get the bucket back. Let me see if it's still there. It'd be nice. I want my bucket endings.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great.
The
he thought to
bucket's
himself.
back!
This is what I've wanted all along.
Yes.
I got what I wanted.
Replacement bucket. Oh, that's so funny. Alright, nonetheless, this has been a long video. I'm going to end it here, then I'll continue my bucket adventures in the next one. As always, thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Laters.